Hi, Sarah Philippi here from Reversing Breast Implant Illness. And today I wanted to bring you at least the very first video for a series of videos called The 5 Steps to Reversing Breast Implant Illness. So I'm going to do a series of steps 1 through 5, and then I'll also do another video on a few bonus tips that I have for you. So before I dive in, let me just say that 5 Steps to Reversing Breast Implant Illness is a loaded title for this video. I really understand that, all right? But I wanted to be clear what this video is going to be about. But to be even more clear, what I want you to know is that reversing any kind of chronic illness really requires a very personalized, multi-therapeutic approach, and I'll explain why as we go along. First off, when I say that reversing breast implant illness, or any chronic illness for that matter, requires a multi-therapeutic approach, it's because chronic conditions are multifactorial, meaning there's always more than one root cause. To assume breast implants are solely responsible for the onset of illness is really short-sighted and narrow-minded. I do believe in breast implant illness and advocate for breast implant illness. I personally dealt with this issue myself, okay? But there's typically more going on than meets the eye, and I really hesitate to become really tunnel visioned on just one thing. There are typically 3 different categories of stressors in today's world that would fall into the term root cause. All right, so those things are chronic toxic exposures, and breast implants, of course, fall into that category, chronic infections, and of course, breast implants can also fall into that category in a number of ways, and trauma. And that can fall into the breast implant illness category as well, because we experience medical trauma, we experience the physical trauma of having a foreign object in our bodies, the emotional trauma of being chronically ill, and a number of other things. All right. So trauma can fall into a lot of different categories. So I mentioned a few: the mental, emotional, the structural, physical, medical, PTSD, sexual trauma, even, you name it. Even them little micro traumas add up. They don't have to be these big traumatic events to have an impact. I'll even go a bit further and say that the limbic impairment that occurs as we experience these things is also a root cause for why people get stuck in their healing journeys and really can't seem to make progress. And I'll discuss this briefly towards the end and then in more detail in a future video. So you see, if we only focus on removing the implants, we may be missing other significant hidden stressors that are also contributing to the health puzzle. Breast implants do fit into all of these categories, as I mentioned, as a source of chronic toxic exposure, contributors to chronic infections in the body, and physical, emotional, and medical trauma. And of course, the result can be limbic impairment. And what else is going on? That's always the question I want to ask. I believe it's important to leave no stone unturned so that we're not wasting precious time and resources chasing something as if it's the only problem that we're dealing with. We need a comprehensive picture of what's going on in order to create a personalized path to restoring health. And when it comes to healing, order definitely matters, which is why I've laid out the following steps. Well, you're going to get step 1 today. And so I'm laying these out for you in the correct order, steps 1 through 5. So step 1 is opening up drainage pathways. This path, will be different for each person, but there are always some general guidelines which I'll be sharing here today. First and foremost, we always, of course, start with drainage. And when I say drainage, I don't necessarily mean detox. The drainage pathways are how we detoxify the body, but drainage of these organs needs to be supported and functioning really well prior to doing any sort of kill protocol or detox protocol. All right. And I use air quotes because I feel like these things mean different things to different people and different practitioners. The drainage pathways that I'm referring to here are the pathways of elimination, eliminating toxins, that is. The colon, liver, and bile ducts, lymphatic system, skin, lungs, fascia, the brain, and the cells. All right, so the reason it is so important to be sure that these drainage pathways are working as well as possible as the first step is because stagnation of these pathways breeds sickness. And we need to be able to move toxins out of the body prior to really pushing any sort of active detoxification. If we instead start with a detox or kill protocol, how can we expect all of these toxins to be able to get out of the body? The short answer is they're not going to be able to get out. They're just going to circulate around the body and auto intoxicate you. Typically, this is why people feel so unwell and do not tolerate a kill or detox protocol. If you want to learn more about drainage, I did write a post specifically on drainage on my blog, and I'm going to link that below in the caption. So for now, that is my first step for you. Hopefully that helps with your understanding of where you would really need and want to get started in your healing journey post-explant. And stay tuned for the next video on step 2.